That's what you're doing. Next, keep it up.
Hey YouTube, Onyx ATX here with a redone version of a review on this, which has very quickly become my favorite handgun and stayed there. And that would be the Sig Sauer 1911 Scorpion carry. Chambered in 45 ACP, of course, and for people getting scared of getting shot through the internet, because that happens if I muzzle the camera. It's, oh no, call the law. He pointed a firearm at a camera. A empty firearm at that. So, there it is. For the most part, it's a 1911. So, hopefully, if you guys are watching this, you know what a 1911 is. If not, go look at a bunch of other videos. It is a wonderful gun. There's some downsides: capacity, weight, if you're going to carry it. But this is my favorite handgun I own. And some of the features you might see that are a little bit different than normal in 1911s right off the bat. That is a flat dark earth Cerakote finish. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. If you do, you do. That's great. They do make other Sig 1911s without this finish. Grips are a little bit different. So if you are interested in the Sig 1911 but you don't like the flat dark earth and G10 grips here, there's plenty of other options available for you. Of course, there is a rail on it, which is not your standard 1911 thing. Some people feel like it's an abomination. The top is a little more squared off than usual for a 1911. Personally, I like it. I don't mind. I think it's a very attractive gun as far as the stylization of it. Serrations are good. Feels good. I'm on board with everything. I do like the rail, as this is primarily a home defense gun, as well as something I use when I'm hunting, generally at dusk and in pitch blackness. So being able to throw a flashlight on there is great, as well as having wonderful factory night sights that are on all models of the Scorpion. I have seen some that are Trijicon branded. These are not. They have Sig Sauer on the side, not Trijicon. But again, they're phenomenal night sights. So if you do pick up one and you see, it says Trijicon on the internet and the one in your gun store says Sig Sauer, don't let that worry you. It's my guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Trijicon branded ones were on older models. This one is a more recent version. But another thing you might notice, it's different than a traditional 1911. It has an external extractor. I know some people are scared about those holding up or whatever. They have their reasons. For me, it's run flawlessly. No issues with the extractor. I'm fine with it. Couldn't be more happy. And this is coming from a guy that finds something wrong with a lot of firearms and doesn't want anything to do with them. I feel like if I go to look at an expensive item, in this case, $1,000, give or take a couple hundred, depending on, your area, connections, all that. I want to make sure I like everything on it before I, pull the proverbial and literal trigger. But another divisive thing might be the G10 grips here. They're extremely aggressive. Some people don't like the coloration of it, this weird green kind of snakeskin looking business. I think it's great. And coloration, whatever, I can throw on different 1911 grips. But as far as how this feels in my hand, beautiful. Absolutely love the way the grips feel. And that's partially due to The very aggressive small check ring on the front strap here. I know a lot of people might not like this because they have little sissy girly hands that they're scared of, any sort of discomfort. It's not that bad. It's aggressive enough that it feels like it is stuck to your fingers, but it doesn't hurt you. You're not going to bleed from it. I can shoot this all day long and not have any issues. But if your hands are wet, bloody, slippery, cold, gloves on, I want something very aggressive to make sure that I can fire this as intended and not have to worry about it slipping out of my hand or grabbing it and not being able to hold it correctly and having it all over the place. Also with the grips, beveled magwell, which I really didn't care about at first. And then when I started running it a lot harder, it has made magazine insertion so much easier. You can be a little bit off, you can have your angle off, and it will still throw it in there very well. So again, when I got it, didn't really care about that. Now I love it. No complaints on that. So pretty damn good so far. You can hear I'm happy with everything. I'll get to the negatives, but there's not too many. Might also notice it as a flat trigger, which is kind of something you might not expect. And I didn't know how we would like this until I fired it and compared it with other 1911s. For me, this one wins. Your mileage may vary, but for me, I like it. It also has an adjustable over travel, so you can really tune it to how you want. And if you hate that, switch it out for a different trigger if that's a big issue for you. But with this, and again, we're clear, no magazine in there. This, you've got at most a millimeter, and I don't even think that, of travel before you feel pressure. This is real soft, enough to put your finger, get it ready, feel the trigger start getting heavier. When it gets heavier, that is a brick wall. You will know it. There's no mushy. It's not a staple gun trigger. It's what you should expect out of a nice 1911 trigger. And then a very, very, very crisp break. The over travel, how it's adjusted now, really, really nice trigger reset. Very short, crisp again. That has allowed me to do some very quick and accurate double taps as well as Mozambique drills. I'm not the best at shooting fast. I generally train for combat accuracy and shooting pretty quick, but the Mozambique drill is something I've been getting into the last month and a half or so, training with that, and this is beautiful for it with the full stainless steel frame and that trigger. I can do Mozambique and double tap stuff faster than a lot of other guys running Glocks or whatever else that aren't 1911s, obviously, with just as much accuracy. And they've had a lot more practice. So absolutely love it. This is a very, very, very fast firearm, as most 1911 guys, they can be. You should already kind of know what you're getting into with that. But having the over travel was really a nice feature, so I could set it exactly where I wanted. So fit and finish. Cerakote's great, no issues. It's held up very well, except for a very light idiot scratch because I was not paying any attention when I was putting the gun back together. 1911 guys, you know what this is. It happens. We try to avoid it, but every now and then it gets a little careless and get our angle pressing this back in wrong and slips down. But yeah, holsters, no issues setting it on wood, backpacks, throwing it around, hold up great. Tolerances are very tight. They're a lot tighter than some of the Colts I've messed with. They were tighter than a Kimber I messed with, but they're not overly tight. This does not really have any play. You can feel that the slide is not, welded onto it, but barely. The only wiggle you can hear that's my knuckle, there's none. If you start to press the grip safety in a little bit and wiggle it around, you can kind of hear that go in and out. But that's, you know, that's not really a tolerance issue. Tolerances on this are perfect though. There is no real wobble. It is in and out on a nice plane, no problem. And although it's so tight, it still feels like everything has melted butter between all the moving parts. Racking the slide is beautiful, and it has only gotten better since firing it, as well as recoil has gotten so much smoother and just feels like there are buttery pillows between the parts. And if you have a chance to play with one of these, go for it, and feel free to compare it to other 1911s, because I'm extremely impressed. And when we're talking the price, I'm not gonna say the exact number I picked this up for, but you know, you can expect $1,000 plus or minus a couple $100. Generally, I think MSRP is $1,200 or $1,300, but you guys shouldn't be paying MSRP. You know, we all know how that works, and if you're looking at, you know, around $1,000 for a gun, you really should know the game and gun shops by now. So fit and finish, beautiful. There is on the barrel, this is a little rougher than I would like. It's nothing that 5, 10, 20 minutes, maybe an hour at most of polishing would fix, and I'm not even sure if you can pick that up on the camera. If you run your finger over it, you know, as a tactile thing, you can't tell a difference. But if you get it in light, you can just see that it's not burred up or marred up. It's just not polished as good as it could be. Hasn't caused any issues. Still smooth as silk. Nothing's rubbing against anything else bad. But if I had to complain about something with the fit and finish, it would be that right there. It's honestly a lot better than I would expect from Sig Sauer, and that says a lot because I expect a lot from Sig. So that made me very happy. Negatives, problems. I have had no problems. Trying to think what I'm up to now. I'm over 1,500 rounds, probably over 2,000 rounds with it, but you know, we'll just say 1,500 on the low estimate. No issues with the gun itself, zero. The issues I have had were due to this. You will get 2 Sig Sauer magazines in the box. One of them runs flawless. It's beautiful. It locks back, it feeds right, no issues. The other one, I can somewhat reliably recreate a malfunction. And it's, when I'm talking somewhat reliably, if I'm trying, I can get it maybe 1 out of every 5 magazines. You know, 1 out of every dumps of this magazine. And that is loaded, do our thing. Also, the magazine's empty. Fire, 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 fire. When there's 3 or 4 rounds left in here, once the slide is coming back forward, it stops like this because it did not put the round all the way into battery. Failure to feed. Consistent on this magazine, 3 or 4 rounds left in the mag, it will do that. And it will do it when I basically have it somewhat limp wristed or one hand and just kind of let it throw itself up with recoil, as well as shoot very quickly and use a not very good round, I guess we'll say. So if you have, you know, higher pressure rounds, good loads, you're holding it like you should, there shouldn't be any issues with that. But that being said, I can't trust myself that if I have to, you know, bet my life on this and I'm all twisted around holding it in some weird situation and pull the trigger and that goes, you know, recoils really rough, it doesn't feed another round. I don't like that. Every time this has happened, I was able to solve it by tap, went to battery, shot fine. As far as tap, rack, bang, the furthest we get in that is tap and then bang. I've never had to re-rack it. So again, I trust Sig Sauer for this. I don't trust Sig Sauer for this. These are not bad. These are good backup magazines. They're good to train on. Just as far as a carry mag or something you're going to bet your life on, I wouldn't go with this. I would go with Wilson Combat. I've had absolutely zero issues with the Wilson Combat magazines. They've been phenomenal. Nothing. Perfect. Highly, highly recommend for a carry magazine, duty magazine, home defense magazine, whatever, Wilson Combat. The other magazine that has run pretty well was the Trip McCormick. That's a 10 round that generally sits on my nightstand. I'm not a big fan of this magazine because it has 2 extra rounds, but it hangs out quite a bit and gets bulky. If you can see, if I have to carry this, the Wilson Combat this one in particular is very low profile. It fits flush. I can seat it well, get it out if need be, and I still have enough room I can kind of dig my nails, or if need be a knife under there to rip this mag out. Never had a problem with it. So not concerned about that. The Sig magazines, the floor plates are a little easier to grab and yank out, but they do stick out a bit. Personal preference there. The issues I was having with the Chip McCormick 10 round, which is nice because it gives me 10 plus 1 in a 1911, was on the same ammo that I was using that was causing the failure to go fully into battery on the Sig magazines. We're not having it lock back. Well, this obviously locks back well. It's a very positive lock back. You can feel it just hit with authority. So I'm not sure if this is an issue that is very similar to the Sig magazines, where if it's a spring tension issue, not getting enough tension to push that last, or push the plate up quick to initiate the lock back before the slide goes forward, or exactly what's happening with that. It's not a huge deal for me, as with a 1911 it's not enough rounds. I carry 1 chambered and then the magazine, and I count it. I have weird math with double taps and triple taps and adding up how many rounds. When I run through the number of rounds in the magazine, next, I generally reload with 1 in the chamber. And my logic for that is, if I'm reloading and I am completely out, here's what the situation is. I fired, I have nothing. So, even quickly, sorry, that would have went forward with the mag's empty for safety Nazis, but, so we'll repeat that. Slam the mag in, press out, whip the slide back. There. But now we've got to hope that this round chambered properly, which it should. But my theory is, I have 1 round chambered, magazine's empty. I can take it, drop the mag, throw a new one in, and keep firing. And if that time, for some reason, before I can get this magazine in, and I need to take a shot, I can take that shot, slam that magazine in, and then rack it again. So to me, it just saves some speed. Worst case scenario, I get my counts off, and I'm ready to swap mags anyway at that point. So the lockback is not a huge issue, but it's one that I don't necessarily like, because I don't like the idea of an empty click. So, if you do run with something like the Chip McCormick 10 round, it's something to think about. I don't want to trash this because it's been a great magazine, except for a couple issues with that. And the Sig magazine's been pretty good, but I don't think they hold a candle to the Wilson Combats. They've ran perfect. And I want to try the Kimbers one of these days. I just haven't got around to grabbing one. So if you plan to purchase this gun, judge it off the Wilson Combat magazine, not the Sig magazines, because I don't think that's a very fair comparison here. So, firing it. It's 1911. It's, you know, not a small round, but the recoil for a gun that's heavier is very predictable. When that's out and it recoils, it's a nice, you know, kickback, but very manageable. It is not like my Glock 26 that wants to do this number every time. That gun is very snappy. This is more of a punch and pretty manageable. So, you know, I'm not going to get into whole that, but it's firing it. It's a 1911, and with this trigger, it's an extremely fast gun. So, you know, go for it. But also remember, if you're dumping a magazine, firing that fast, 8 plus 1 is 9 rounds total, and it's gone in no time. So, you know, you need to look at how you're training if you're running something that doesn't have, say, 17 plus 1 in it, you know, or whatever may be the case. So why use this? Well, it's a little bit bulky, it's a little bit aggressive to use as an everyday carry. It's not bad if you have, say, a Maxpedition bag and you throw it in the back. It does fit great in my Fat Boy Versapack. No issues with it fitting in there at all. But just, I know some guys carry them all day long, and cool, more power to you. But inside the waistband, I don't necessarily want this rubbing against my skin. Maybe an undershirt would help. But again, even with the carry size, this is a heavy gun. This is not, you know, something you can just tuck away and hide and not have to worry about comfort, because you probably will. But you know, certainly if you want to carry it, you can. It's possible. But my kind of reason I use it is I carry it when I'm hunting at night, generally for feral hogs, and it's kind of my oh shit emergency weapon. And again, you know, 45 doesn't have the best penetration. It's a little bit slow moving. So I am certainly not going to use it to hunt. This is more a last resort self-defense. Or if I run into a predator of the human nature out in the woods at night, very good with the night sights, throwing a flashlight, and home defense. The 45 round is, in my opinion, and I'm not going to get into caliber debate, but something that works great for me inside the house. You know, I do have my AR sitting loaded next to the bed and whatever, so I can, but I don't necessarily want to put, you know, a 223 or a 308 or a 556 or, you know, 7.62 by 39 or whatever other calibers I have in rifles around through my, you know, front wall of the house or window. So I'm a little more comfortable with this as far as having to use something inside the house. Again, night sights, I can have it next to the bedstand like this. There's 10 plus 1, 11 rounds. And then this right next to that. So, you know, there's my 19 rounds. And if I end up running through a whole magazine for some reason, I'll just grab the rifle with the standard round 30 magazine sitting right next to the bed. It is also equipped with Meprolite M21 and a flashlight on there. But, you know, it's not... We can get into that all day. Anyway, this is what I prefer for inside the house. And value. Well, it's not cheap. If you know, you want to drop $1,000, as that's the last kind of going price at most reasonable gun stores, I think it's worth it. I think it's far better for $1,000 than some of the, you know, $1,400, $1,500, $1,600 1911s I've seen. So while it's expensive, I do think it's worth it, and I think it's a good value at that price. That may be me being biased because I like it. Obviously, you know, that's your call whether you think it's worth it. But the longer I have it, the more happy I am with it, and certainly would recommend at least shooting one, and if not a Scorpion, you know, one of the other Sig 1911s that are out there. Because even though, you know, they're fairly new to the market, everybody's getting into 1911s, I really can't say anything bad about this. When the two worst things are, this wasn't polished as much as I would like because it's not a mirror finish, and one of the magazines from the factory it came with is good but not perfect. I would say great but not perfect. They did fix the anti-tilt in the newer ones. Some of the old ones had that, so the newer ones, you know, are better. You might want to check into that just to see how the tilt is when you buy one to make sure you got one of the newer models here. But yeah, out of the box, you got your lock, your paperwork, the firearm itself, and I only have one on me tonight, but two of the Sig magazines. But that's about it. If you guys do have any questions, comments, want to do a video response, PM me. Go for it. I try to get back very quickly. And as always, you know, if you like this, want to see more requests, like and subscribe. I very much appreciate the views, and thank you, Ebomi, for subscribing to me. It was a nice email to get there the other day. But yeah, everybody take care. Feel free to kind of dig around my site. I've got a lot of other guys that I think have great channels and recommend you check them out. And I'll always be safe. World's worst outro. So, guess what? We got pretty much through the whole video without me fucking everything up. So now we'll just say whatever. Fucking worst outro. Thanks for watching. See you guys later. Take care.